Hi, everybody. Welcome to an all of the above movie budget review. And this time it's going to be the man with the white mask called Mike Myers. Not Mike Myers, sorry. He's an actor. We're talking about Michael Myers, of course. And it's time for Halloween. And this is going to be a long one because I found this box with the first part of the movies, uh, and that's the Halloween movie collection. It's an Italian box, so uh, I can't read. There's a booklet in there, and I can't read it because I don't know Italian. But it has movie 1 till 8 in there, and it even has part 6, the producer's cut, in there. So it's pretty loaded, and I loved it. And as a Halloween fan, this is my ultimate movie box. But we start the series off with part 1, of course, Halloween. The movie we all know. Michael Myers kills his sister, and then some years later, as he's an adult or 20 something, he escapes a mental institute and goes on a killing spree. That's Halloween. And we get to know Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, and she's going to play a big part in the rest of the series. Um, yeah, I loved it. It was suspenseful. The music was very creepy, and it worked. Um, yeah, this was a movie that really grabbed me, and yeah, I've watched several times now, especially since I have the box set now. I can watch Halloween anytime I want. Any day is Halloween in this house. Trust me. And I love the back-to-back sequel, part two, where Jamie Lee Curtis returns, Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis. He was also in part one. I forgot to mention him, and Michael Myers, of course. It immediately follows the first part, the first movie. It's literally the same night. So the night he came home. Um, yeah, it was creepy. Especially the part with the needle in the eye and the super red blood on a black floor. Yeah, it was shot very well. I loved it. I'm a big Halloween fan, of course, and every time something new comes out, I will go and watch it. So, then came the Moi version, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. On itself, a cool, good story, creepy, but it has nothing to do with Michael Myers. And that's what we watch Halloween for, of course. So, it was a good movie. It's not my favorite, but I'll watch it anytime, just for continuity's sake. If I watch my Halloween box, I watch part one to the end, and I have to put part three in there. So um, then we have a few years later, part four came out, The Return of Michael Myers, and we don't have Jamie Lee Curtis in there. We do have Donald Pleasance in there, and we have Daniel Harris, a young Daniel Harris, playing Jamie Lee's daughter. Um, and it's for its time, it's a good movie. It's end of the 80s, and yeah, it's got a lot of blood. It's got a lot of killing, and it really opens up the world of Halloween again. Especially after we had part three, part four was back in action with a good ending that really kept us on our feet. Then came part five, And part five is a good follow up to four, with again Daniel Harris playing Jamie Lloyd, the daughter of the Jamie Lee Curtis character. So I loved part five. It was a good movie, a bit underrated. People keep well bashing it because some pieces are overly funny and a bit over comedic, and it takes you away from the tone of the movie. But overall, it's what you expect from a Halloween movie: good kills, a good story, and good scares. So it had my vote. Then came The Curse of Michael Myers, and this movie I saw in the cinema during an all night horror show. That was yeah, a sort of festival that went from cinema to cinema, showing you different horror movies. And this was one of them. And a few years later, I saw another Halloween movie at the same festival. Um, I was a bit mixed the first time I saw this one because it was fast and it didn't really make a lot of sense. Now, I love the kills. Um, I miss Daniel Harris, although her role isn't that big. Daniel isn't even in here. Danielle, sorry. But her role's not that big if she was in there. They had another actress play her in the grown up version of her, the Jamie Lloyd character. We get to see Paul Rudd. We also know as Ant Man, of course. Um, Alumni Donald Pleasance is in there. He's been in almost every Halloween movie up to then. And this is the last one he played in before he died. So, yeah. So the first time I wasn't that excited. I loved it because it was a Halloween movie, but it wasn't one of my favorites. And then I found out there was a producer's cut. And like any nerd, I went scrolling through the internet webs and I found a very rough cut version of the producer's cut with the deleted scenes sliced and diced between the existing scenes. Um, so I had an idea what the producer's cut could be, but I still was curious. Let's call it curious. Then I bought this box set, and the producer's cut was in there, so I could watch it in all its glory, remastered and everything. And I loved the producer's cut better than I love the theatrical cut. So anytime I will watch the movie. I will watch the producer's cut. Um, yeah, like I said, I love this one, but yeah, it's the producer's cut's better than the theatrical. And I hope some people will uh, have the same idea as me. So in the festival I was talking about, the all night movie show, there was a surprise preview a few years later of Halloween H2O. And Halloween H2O immediately follows Halloween, the 1987 version. So it skips the rest, and it has Jamie Lee Curtis again back as Laurie Strode. This time in a sort of Scream like movie with young people and Jamie Lee Curtis, of course. We have a rapper in there um, to make out the 90s cast, of course. Um, LL Cool J. So, and he's pretty cool in the movie too. So, I love this one, but it gave me a lot of, like I said, Scream vibes, or I Know What You Did Last Summer, and it's not really bad, but yeah, we know the guy who made the Scream movies, or I Know What You Did Last Summer movies, also had a hand in making this movie, so it's not that far fetched. Then the last time we would see Jamie Lee Curtis for a long time in a Halloween movie where she gets killed off. Spoiler, sorry. Halloween Resurrection. Um, it's I don't want to say a dud, but it's not one of the best Halloween movies. It tries to do its take on the found footage version. It has, well, Busta Rhymes, who isn't really a good actor in this movie. I haven't seen him in much, but in this one, I didn't really like him. He wanted to be, he was very cocky, and maybe it was him or it was his personality in the movie, but I didn't like him. Halloween Resurrection was the last one in the formal sequels. So then it came time. Then it was a remake time, and Rob Zombie gave us Halloween again. And this version of Halloween goes into Michael Myers' life more. It shows us more how Michael was as a kid, from blue collar family, abused big tone, uh, asshole stepdad, stripper mom, and it go. It's longer than the '87 version, like this one. Um, but I miss the yeah, I miss the pace in the movie. It gives me a good view on how Michael grew up, but yeah, it's not my favorite. Then came part two, um, and this time we're going to see the Laurie Strode personality, a person who played in part one, being a bitch in part two because she was traumatized. Yeah, she's more like the stepdad in part one, not caring about anyone else, and she's the victim. And of course, she's been through a lot of trauma, so don't blame her. We don't blame her, but I couldn't stand her in this movie. So, but I couldn't stand the movie too. It was too long and it was too vague. And I'm glad there was talks that there would be a third one, and I'm glad that it didn't come out, and we kept it with part two. So the Rob Zombie part is done. Thank you. Then, pa 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 pa. Then we got David Gordon Green's take on Halloween, and this would be a direct sequel again to the first part, Halloween, the 1978 version. It skips the rest, and it tells the story of Michael as an old man in an asylum. He was caught after the um, events of part one. We get a traumatized Jamie Lee Curtis, who is a grandma at this stage, has a daughter and a granddaughter. Um, well, it's more psychological, and it has a cool kills. It tells a cool story. It also has a lot of nostalgia, and well, I'm a sucker for nostalgia. This one didn't. I watched this one in the movie theater or in cinema, and I loved it. It had cool kills. It was really like I watched the first Michael Myers movie, and it matched. I loved it. Then they got the second part, Halloween Kills, taken off right where the first one, Halloween, ended, with Michael trapped in a burning house and the Strode family on a truck off to the hospital. Um, this one was more about the town of Haddonfield, um, where everything takes place. Uh, and it was more about the townspeople and how they became a very big mob and became the monster themselves. They all go vigilante and go hunt Michael. And well, I loved Halloween Kills. So it was a great part of the trilogy, and it made me want to find out what the last part would be. Because a few years ago, or last year, they ended the trilogy with Halloween Ends, and that this would be the definitive ending of Halloween, they said. Um, it picks up with another man of a boy who is a babysitter, gets into an accident and gets to be bullied and picked on. And yeah, I love the movie, and it's for me, it's a satisfying ending to the trilogy, the David Gordon Green trilogy. And I loved how they killed Michael Myers at the end, because well, in every movie they kill him at the end, but he never stays dead. Uh, in this one, I'm curious if he gets out, but we'll find out. So, yeah, that wraps up the Halloween part. I want to thank you for watching, and see you all later. See you next time. If you like this, subscribe and like. And again, see you next time.